And if I told you that right now at this very moment as you watch this video, something in your daily routine is quietly attacking your heart? Not dramatically, not with chest pain or warning sirens. Silently, patiently, like a slow leak in a pipe that no one notices until the ceiling collapses. Most people never understand this. They think heart attacks happen suddenly out of nowhere to people who deserved it somehow. People who ate terribly their whole lives, who never exercised a single day, who made obvious glaring mistakes. But that's not how it works. That's almost never how it works. The truth is far more unsettling. The 5 things I'm going to talk about today are not exotic. They're not rare. They're not things that only reckless people do. They are items, habits, and substances that exist inside the homes of millions of people right now. On kitchen shelves, in bathroom cabinets, on coffee tables, in bedrooms. Things your doctor may have mentioned in passing. Things society has normalized so completely that questioning them feels almost paranoid. But your heart doesn't care about what's normal. Your heart only cares about what's true. And here's the promise I'm making to you right now. By the time this video ends, the way you look at your daily routine will never be the same. The last point especially, the 5th one, is the one most people underestimate the most. And it might be the most dangerous of all. If you're new here, this channel exists for one reason: to give your heart the attention it deserves. Because your heart didn't choose to be the strongest, most loyal organ in your body. It just is. It has been beating for you since before you were born. It has never taken a day off. It has never asked for anything in return. And the least we can do is understand what threatens it. Before we begin, if this kind of content matters to you, if you believe that real knowledge can save lives, hit that subscribe button right now, because what you're about to hear is the kind of information that cardiologists see in their clinics every single day, and that never seems to reach the people who need it most. Until today. Let's talk about the 5 silent killers hiding in plain sight. The first item, salt. Here's what most people do. They put down the salt shaker. That's it. That's the whole strategy. Someone tells them their blood pressure is a little high, or they read an article online about sodium, and they make a decision: no more salt at the table. They stop seasoning their food directly. They feel virtuous about it. They feel like they've done something meaningful for their health. And they have no idea that this gesture, as well-intentioned as it is, barely scratches the surface of the problem. Here is the scientific revelation that changes everything. Approximately 70 to 75% of the sodium the average person consumes every day does not come from the salt shaker. It comes from processed and industrialized foods. It was already there before you ever opened the package. It's hiding inside bread. Yes, bread, even the healthy kind. It's inside deli meats, canned soups, ready-made sauces, frozen meals, crackers, breakfast cereals, and restaurant food. It's hiding inside things that don't even taste salty to you. And here's the biology of what happens when too much sodium enters your bloodstream. Your body, which is extraordinarily precise in its chemical management, detects the excess salt and responds by retaining more water to dilute it. More water in your bloodstream means more volume. More volume means more pressure against the walls of your arteries. And sustained high pressure, what we call hypertension, is not just a number on a medical chart. It is a physical force, applied every second of every day, slowly damaging the interior lining of your blood vessels. Think of it like a garden hose. If you increase the water pressure beyond what the hose was designed to handle, it doesn't burst immediately. It weakens. It develops small tears. And in those small tears over time, fat and cholesterol begin to accumulate. The beginning of atherosclerosis, the narrowing of the arteries that precedes heart attacks and strokes. Now let me give you the perspective shift that I want you to carry with you. When you reach for that bag of processed food, you are not just making a dietary choice. You are making a pressure decision. You are deciding in that moment how much force your heart will have to work against for the next several hours. Every sodium molecule that enters your body requires your heart to compensate. Every single one. Your heart is not a machine that runs independently of your choices. It is a living partner in everything you do, and it has chosen to spend its entire life with you. The question is, are you making choices that honor that partnership? The practical exercise here is not complicated, but it requires intention. For the next 7 days, before you buy any packaged food, flip it over and read the sodium content per serving. You are looking for anything under 140 milligrams of sodium per serving. That is what the American Heart Association calls low sodium. You will be shocked at what you find. You will pick up things you considered healthy and discover they contain 600, 800, sometimes over 1,000 milligrams of sodium in a single serving. This exercise alone will rewire the way you shop, the way you eat, and the way you understand your blood pressure. Do it for 1 week and you will never look at food packaging the same way again. The second item, certain medications. Here's what most people do. They trust that if something is sold in a pharmacy, it cannot seriously harm their heart. That assumption is one of the most dangerous ones in modern medicine. And I want to be precise here, because this is not about creating fear around medication. Medication saves lives. The right medication, prescribed correctly at the right dose for the right duration, is one of the greatest tools human beings have ever developed. This is not an anti-medicine message. This is a message about specificity, about paying attention, about understanding that the word medication does not automatically mean safe for your heart. Here is the scientific revelation. A class of drugs known as non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, which includes extremely common over-the-counter medications used for pain, fever, and inflammation, has been associated in multiple large-scale studies with increased cardiovascular risk, particularly in people over 50, in people with existing hypertension, and in people with a history of heart disease. These are not rare prescription drugs. These are medications that people take casually, sometimes daily, sometimes for years, without ever consulting a cardiologist. The mechanism involves the way these drugs interfere with prostaglandins, molecules that help regulate inflammation, but that also play a role in protecting the stomach lining and influencing blood pressure. When you suppress prostaglandins systemically, you can cause sodium retention, raise blood pressure, and alter the balance of chemicals that regulate how easily your blood clots. For someone with healthy arteries and no cardiovascular history, occasional use is likely manageable. But for someone who already has silent plaque buildup in their arteries, and remember, most people do not know they have it, regular use of these medications can tip a precarious situation into a catastrophic one. There is also the category of decongestants. Certain nasal sprays and cold medications contain compounds that constrict blood vessels to reduce congestion. That's how they work. But constricting blood vessels throughout your body also raises blood pressure. For a person with hypertension taking a decongestant for a cold, this can be genuinely dangerous. And yet millions of people do it every single cold season without a second thought, because the packaging doesn't come with a warning written in large, urgent letters. The perspective shift I want to offer you is this. Your medication cabinet is not neutral territory. It is a chemical environment. And everything in that environment interacts with your cardiovascular system in some way. This does not mean you should stop taking medications that have been prescribed to you. It means you should have an active, specific, ongoing conversation with your doctor about every substance you are taking, prescribed or not, and ask directly, how does this affect my heart? Especially if you are over 50. Especially if you have hypertension. Especially if someone in your family has had a heart attack or stroke. The practical exercise. Write a complete list of every medication, supplement, and over-the-counter drug you take, including the ones you only take occasionally. Bring that list to your next medical appointment and ask your doctor to review it specifically from a cardiovascular perspective. This single conversation could prevent something catastrophic. The third item, excess sugar. Here is what most people do. They think about sugar in terms of dessert. They imagine someone who eats cake every day, drinks soda at every meal, puts 3 spoons of sugar in their coffee. They think, I'm not that person. I watch what I eat. I don't have a sweet tooth. I'm fine. And that's exactly where the danger hides. Here is the scientific revelation. Sugar, in the modern food environment, is not primarily found in foods that taste sweet. It is an ingredient added to an enormous percentage of processed foods precisely because it enhances palatability, extends shelf life, and creates a kind of mild neurochemical reward that keeps people reaching for more. It's in salad dressings. It's in bread. It's in flavored yogurts, protein bars, tomato sauces, and beverages that are marketed as healthy. Juices, smoothies, sports drinks. The average person consuming what they believe to be a balanced diet may be ingesting quantities of sugar that would shock them if they were ever able to see it visualized. And here is what excess sugar does to your cardiovascular system, beyond what most people realize. It doesn't just cause diabetes, though it can certainly contribute to that, and diabetes is itself one of the most significant risk factors for heart disease. It also drives systemic inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation is now understood by cardiologists to be a central mechanism in the development of atherosclerosis, the buildup of plaque inside arterial walls. Inflammation doesn't just happen at the site of an injury. It happens throughout the body when the body is under metabolic stress. And a chronically high-sugar diet creates exactly that kind of metabolic stress. There's also the impact on triglycerides, a type of fat that circulates in your blood. Excess sugar that your body cannot immediately use for energy gets converted to triglycerides and stored. High triglyceride levels are associated with increased risk of heart disease, and yet most people who get basic blood work done focus entirely on their cholesterol numbers and never ask about their triglycerides. The perspective shift. Every time you consume hidden sugar, you are not just making a caloric decision. You are activating an inflammatory cascade. You are altering the chemical signature of your blood. You are creating an environment inside your arteries where plaque is more likely to form, more likely to grow, and more likely to eventually rupture. That rupture, not the slow building of plaque, but the sudden rupture of a plaque deposit, is what causes most heart attacks. Not a gradual blockage, a rupture, a chemical event triggered by inflammation. The practical exercise. For 1 week, track every beverage you consume that is not plain water or unsweetened tea or coffee. Include juices, flavored waters, sports drinks, energy drinks, and any alcohol. Calculate, even approximately, the sugar content. Most people doing this exercise discover they are consuming the majority of their excess sugar through drinks, not food, and have never once thought of those drinks as a cardiovascular threat. That awareness alone begins to change behavior. The fourth item, sedentary behavior. Here is what most people do. They think of sedentary behavior as a lifestyle choice belonging to people who never exercise. They think of themselves, people who maybe go for a walk sometimes, who take the stairs occasionally, who are generally active, as exempt from this risk. And then they sit at a desk for 8 hours. And then they sit on a couch for 3 more. And they do this 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, for decades. Here is the scientific revelation, and it is one that genuinely surprised the medical community when the research began accumulating. Prolonged sitting is an independent cardiovascular risk factor, not just a marker of an unhealthy lifestyle. An independent risk, meaning that even people who exercise regularly, who go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week, show elevated cardiovascular risk if they also spend the majority of their waking hours sitting without interruption. The biology here involves several mechanisms. When you are sedentary for long periods, the enzyme lipoprotein lipase, responsible for processing fat in the bloodstream, decreases significantly in activity. This means fat circulates longer in your blood rather than being processed and used. Simultaneously, blood flow slows, particularly in the lower extremities, which can promote the development of small clots. Insulin sensitivity decreases, blood pressure regulation becomes less efficient, and the heart, which is a muscle, begins to lose some of the adaptive capacity it develops through regular cardiovascular challenge. There is also the concept of what researchers call sitting disease, not a formal diagnosis, but a framework for understanding how the body deteriorates when it is denied its biological imperative to move. Human beings evolved as creatures of constant, low-level movement. Our cardiovascular systems were designed for a life that involved walking, standing, lifting, and occasional intense effort. not for 8-hour blocks of immobility interrupted by bursts of gym activity. The perspective shift. Your heart is not maintained by the 45 minutes you spend exercising. It is influenced by all 24 hours of your day. The hour you spend running does not cancel out the 8 hours you spend sitting. Both matter. Both send signals to your cardiovascular system about what kind of environment it is living in. The practical exercise: set a timer on your phone, your watch, your computer to go off every 50 minutes during your workday. When it goes off, stand up. Walk for 2 minutes. Do not negotiate with yourself about whether you have time. You have 2 minutes. Do this every 50 minutes throughout the day, and you will meaningfully alter the cardiovascular chemistry of your body. Research suggests that these brief movement interruptions can partially reverse the metabolic consequences of prolonged sitting, even without changing any other aspect of your routine. 2 minutes, every 50 minutes. That's your exercise for this point. The fifth item: poor sleep quality. Here is what most people do. They treat sleep as the thing that happens after everything else is done. It's the last item on the list, the thing that gets compressed when there's too much to do, too much to watch, too much to scroll through. People brag about sleeping 5 hours. They wear their exhaustion like a badge of productivity. And all the while, something quiet and cumulative is happening to their cardiovascular system. Something that will not announce itself until it's already gone very far. Here is the scientific revelation. Sleep is not a passive state. It is an active biological process during which your body performs some of its most critical maintenance functions, including cardiovascular maintenance. During the deeper stages of sleep, your blood pressure drops significantly. Your heart rate slows. Your body produces hormones that repair blood vessel walls, regulate inflammation, and restore the balance of your autonomic nervous system, the system that controls whether your heart is in a state of activation or rest. When you consistently sleep fewer than 6 to 7 hours per night, or when your sleep is fragmented and non-restorative, this nocturnal drop in blood pressure, called nocturnal dipping, becomes less pronounced or disappears entirely. Your cardiovascular system never fully recovers from the demands of the day. It stays in a state of partial activation. Over weeks, months, and years, this creates a cumulative burden on the heart that is measurable, significant, and largely invisible until it isn't. Sleep apnea deserves specific mention here because it affects an enormous number of people. Estimates suggest that the majority of cases go undiagnosed. Sleep apnea is a condition in which breathing repeatedly stops and restarts during sleep, causing the body to experience brief but repeated episodes of oxygen deprivation and the subsequent stress response. Each of those episodes activates the sympathetic nervous system, the fight-or-flight response, which raises blood pressure, increases heart rate, and floods the bloodstream with stress hormones. Do this hundreds of times per night, every night for years, and the cardiovascular consequences are profound. The association between sleep apnea and hypertension, atrial fibrillation, stroke, and heart failure is well established in the medical literature, and yet most people who have it do not know. Their partner might notice that they snore. They might wake up feeling unrefreshed no matter how many hours they spent in bed. They might feel inexplicably fatigued throughout the day, but they attribute it to stress or age or just the way they are. And their heart pays for that misattribution, quietly, every single night. The perspective shift I want to leave you with is this. Every night that you sleep well is a gift you give your heart, not metaphorically, biologically. Sleep is when your heart is allowed to rest, when your arteries are allowed to repair, when your blood pressure is allowed to fall to levels that the cardiovascular system needs in order to remain sustainable. When you sacrifice sleep, you are not just sacrificing energy or mood or cognitive performance. You are sacrificing the maintenance window that your heart depends on to survive another day. And here is the thing about your heart that I come back to again and again on this channel. It has been beating for you without pause since before you took your first breath. It has been faithful through every bad decision, every stressful period, every year you didn't take care of yourself as well as you should have. It has never stopped. It has never demanded recognition. It has simply continued, beating because it chose to spend its life with you. The very least we can do is give it 7 hours of uninterrupted sleep. The practical exercise, tonight, before you go to bed, do one thing. Turn your phone face down and put it out of arm's reach. Not in another room if that feels like too much. Just out of arm's reach. Remove the option to scroll. Remove the blue light. And give yourself a 30-minute wind-down window in which you are doing nothing that activates your sympathetic nervous system. No news, no intense conversations, no work emails. Just quiet. And then lie down in a cool, dark room and let your heart do what it needs to do. If you suspect you may have sleep apnea, if you snore heavily, if you wake feeling exhausted, if you've been told you stop breathing in your sleep, make an appointment with your doctor and ask specifically for a sleep study. This is not optional information. This is cardiovascular medicine. Now let's bring this together in the way it deserves to be brought together. These 5 items are not 5 isolated threats. They are 5 streams flowing into the same river. Excess sodium raises the pressure against your arterial walls. Certain medications used without appropriate supervision alter the chemical balance of your blood and can push that pressure higher. Excess sugar drives the inflammation that weakens the arterial walls that sodium is pressing against. Sedentary behavior prevents your cardiovascular system from developing the resilience it needs to handle that pressure and inflammation. And poor sleep removes the only window in which your heart and your blood vessels are given the opportunity to repair. Together, they create an environment inside your body that is measurably, provably more dangerous than any one of them alone. And the reason they are so effective at doing harm is precisely because none of them hurt. None of them come with an alarm. None of them send you to the emergency room the day you first start doing them. They accumulate. They compound. And then one day, often without warning, the bill comes due. But, and this is the thing I most want you to hold on to as this video ends, the reverse is also true. Every adjustment you make in any of these 5 areas is not just a health decision. It is a deposit in a trust account between you and your heart. Every meal where you choose the lower sodium option. Every conversation with your doctor about the medications you're taking. Every processed food you pass over in the grocery store. Every time you stand up and walk for 2 minutes. Every night you turn the phone away and give your body the sleep it biologically needs. These are deposits. They accumulate too. And they accumulate in the direction of a longer, stronger, more vibrant life. Your heart has been with you through everything. Every loss, every joy, every ordinary Tuesday. It has pumped blood through your body billions of times without ever asking for recognition or gratitude. It is, in every biological and emotional sense of the word, your most faithful companion. Today I want to leave you with one question to sit with, not to answer right now, but to carry with you. If your heart could speak, what would it ask you to change first? Because it's already asking. In the numbers on your blood pressure cuff, in the quality of your sleep, in the fatigue that shouldn't be there, in the subtle signs that something deserves more attention. The question is whether we choose to listen before the message gets louder. If this content reached you today, if something in this video made you think of someone you love, share it with them. Send it to the person in your family who needs to hear this. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss another conversation about the organ that has never, not once, given up on you. And take care of your heart, because it has never stopped taking care of you.